great afternoon, beautiful people. Great afternoon, great evening. We are so excited to have you guys with us. You guys know what to do. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. You guys know what to do. Hit that like button, hit the share button. This is a topic tonight that you cannot afford not to share with the people in your network, right? We know that teamwork makes the dream work. And tonight's topic is one that is intricately tied to all of our success. Whether you're an educator, a community member, a church member, you've got to know that tonight's topic is going to help you. But listen, before we jump into tonight's topic, I want to ask you, have you grabbed your copy of Boss Moves? Listen, I'm in love with the hard book. I'm in love with the hard copy. So if you're one of those people that prefers the hard copy, make sure that you have grabbed yours, and you could do that today by simply clicking this link. Y'all, we're going to drop that link for you just momentarily. But again, we're so excited to have you guys. We have a very special guest, and I am going to bring him right on up. Y'all, we have none other than the Dr. Barksdale with us tonight. Hey, Dr. Barksdale.
How you doing? How you doing, boss lady?
We are doing so very well. We're so excited to have you with us here tonight. So let me tell the people a little bit about your amazing bio before we start in this conversation tonight. Dr. Clayton Barksdale is a distinguished educator, behavioral coach, and a leading advocate in the area of social emotional learning, particularly for children impacted by fatherlessness. With over 20 years of experience, Dr. Barksdale has dedicated his professional career to addressing the emotional and psychological challenges faced by children who have experienced parental abandonment and rejection. Let me say that again: parental abandonment and rejection. You guys know what to do. We're so happy to have you. Go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button. This is a topic that we know in our communities, we need some help. I don't know about your community, but my community, my hometown, the town in which I currently reside, and everywhere in between, we need some help with our young boys. And so we want to talk about that tonight. Dr. Barksdale is a prolific author and content creator. He's written several children's books, and we're excited to talk about that tonight. I told him Tyler Jacob Nelson read it and gave me his own personal review behind it. So I'm excited to share that review with you guys. But again, he provides a unique insight into the unique struggles of our fatherless youth. In addition to being an educator and author, he is also a sought-after speaker and consultant. And he's even now has written a stage play. So we want to talk about all of those things. Barksdale, who are you, sir? Hello. Tell the people a little bit about you. It's not on the bio. Who are you?
I think you got it summed up already, boss. So, but I'm just somebody trying to make a difference. And just give a little background on me and my life and my mission that God has given me. I grew up in a home, with a single parent, my mother, and she had 3 other kids. I have 2 other brothers and my sister, so it's 4 kids, and we grew up in a single family home. And during that time period, I was, I was bad. I was a bad kid. But my father would call me sometimes and say, "Hey, son, put your shoes on. I want to come get you." And he stayed across town, and like a little kid, I'd be happy, put my shoes on. Mom, Dad's coming. The dad is coming. Be happy and excited. Go outside, wait for him for 5 minutes, 10, 20, 30, 40. Before you know it, the sun set and the moon is not up in the sky. Yeah. He didn't come. And that happened, time and time again. He never did come. He'll call me, say he was coming to get me, and he never do. So that went on, and I just learned to just stop caring about that. But as I became an educator, I began to see those same trends in the lives of my students. Like Barksdale, guess what? What? My dad coming to get me this weekend. And after the break or after the weekend was over, I find the kid, ask him how it was. Well, Barksdale, my dad didn't come. And I saw my struggles in their lives, right. Because I knew what I was going through as a kid. I was being rejected by my parents, and I saw the same thing with them. And I said, you know what, this would be a really good field, to serve as a missionary, to find some mission work in, and that's what I've been doing. I, I've been going around the country and the state speaking about these issues, and I really got some really good feedback from a lot of people. There's a lot of people that's hurting right now from the parental abandonment and the parental rejection. And I think kids and adults need help from it. I was in my late 30s when I went and got help. But being in a position, I'm able to help kids when they're in second grade, third grade, to lead them through the process and explain to them what they're feeling, and that's normal. It's okay to be hurt.
Yes. And I will share with you, growing up in a single parent home, I can honestly say, yes.
Okay.
I can honestly say, I didn't even, I very early on, it wasn't that, is he coming? Like, there wasn't even it was like, he's not coming. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't even a thought process on, am I waiting for him? It was, he's not coming,
Wow,
But I can tell you factually that my response to being fatherless, all right, to not having my father around or having him around consistently, my brother experienced that totally different. When I say like night and day, right? So I've never, I think, I never was mad,
Right.
But that what you just mentioned about being mad about, that was my brother. And listen, we didn't even get into the question, but you started answering. It was, what are some of the main issues that you see within our communities, within our young males? Like what are some of those things? And I want you to continue because you started it. But I definitely say that our babies are mad. Like, people are wondering, why are they fighting so much? Why are they killing? Why are they like they just walk in? Like, why? Right. And so even with that, I want you to lean in that. Why do you think, based on your work and your experience, because again, you've been an educator, you've been a principal, so you sat in the seat to even deal with
you said it. You said they're angry, and there's a reason why they're angry, and I'm going to explain to you why they're angry. And for the same reason I was. And I just want to say, that there's this caveat. There are some people in their lives that live with both mom and dad, and they still turn out bad. So having a dad in the home is it's not a cure-all. Okay, I never think that everybody this cure-all if dad is in the house.
Right.
But you're a doctor like me. We go about likelihoods, and the likelihood of having a good dad with a healthy relationship, okay? So there's two things we need to focus on. A good father, okay, with a healthy relationship with his son or daughter. Those children will more than likely turn out okay. In most cases, all right? But just to kind of go on, what I identified was when I became a principal and assistant principal, I began to notice trends. There were one day, oh my God, I had like, it was a really bad day. I had like 17 write-ups in one day. And I said, what's going on? Like, what is going on? So something told me, said, Clay, just go, in the system and look at their SAM report. The SAM report tell you who the kids stay with. And I went, and all the referrals that I got that day, I started looking at the SAM report, the parent and the guardian. And I saw that of those children that got rolled up, about 95% of those students didn't have a father listed in SAM. I said, wow. And if a father isn't listed in SAM, that dad may not be involved in that child's life. So I went back and I looked at all the referrals that I got over a 2-3 month period. And most of those referrals, I went in the SAM, did some cross references. And most of those children that got rolled up that day didn't have a father, listed in the report. And I pulled some kids, I pulled some kids out the sample. I said, does your father stay with you? Said, no, and the more that we talk about their issues, I began to see that the main problem was the anger they had from not having their father in their life. And that's when I came to the conclusion that I think these children are going through the 5 stages of grief, that they have lost a father. And right now they are stuck on that second stage, which is anger. And that's why they're so angry. For an example, when I did my dissertation on the impact of fatherlessness, I researched children.
Yeah.
And I compared the state test scores to students with dads and without dads. And then I had another part where there was a narrative part when they came in and answered questions. And there was this kid that played basketball, and we were just talking about a couple of things. And he said, Barksdale, imagine how I feel, when I'm playing sports and I look up in the stands and I see my friend dad there, but my father, he's not around. I get so angry about that, and hit the desk, like that's something that we got to realize. Even it was brought up, donuts for dads. Said Barksdale, then another kid said, imagine how I feel, Barksdale, doing donuts for dads. When dad's coming out through the school, and my dad, I don't know his name. I don't know who he is or where he come from. I know nothing about him. And then when I try to talk about my dad to my mom, she get mad at me. So I mean, so I believe, and I got the data to prove it, that these children are upset and they stuck in a stage of grief. And right now they're trapped at the second and third stage, which is anger and depression, and that's leading to a lot of problems, in our community. Because it takes a lot of anger to get into a fight and stomp somebody out. That's not normal.
That's not normal. That's right.
By no means. You know what I'm saying?
I think Dr. Barksdale, we have become almost desensitized to the type of violence that we're seeing, like to the point that is it a big deal that somebody's getting stumped out? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's because it's become so pervasive and so prevalent that we are becoming desensitized to the fact that hashtag it ain't normal. It's on another extreme. And I think you just said something else that we don't always talk about. Y'all, hey, thank y'all for joining. We're so happy to see you. You guys know what to do, Boss Tribe. Drop a comment, hit the like button, hit the share. This is a very critical topic that we all need to lean into as we're talking about building better communities, building better schools. And so one of the other things that you talked about was grief.
Yeah.
We've got to dispel this myth that grief only is about someone dying. Grief encompasses so much more than just we went to the funeral, right? And so I think so many times in our community, like you'll be feeling a thing, but like if we haven't been trained or exposed or engaged in conversations around what is grief, then people will dismiss it as something else. But I think so. Lean into that. Talk to us about what is grief.
I would love to. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to provide some really good examples as well. I love sports. Yes. I'm pretty sure you do too, because you boss. You are the boss. Big boss.
So by default, I've had to.
So, but I was a huge Peyton Manning fan. Okay, and growing up, I was a huge Michael Jordan fan. And I remember the first time that Michael Jordan he retired from basketball. You had grown men crying. I'm talking about they were boohooing on live television over Michael Jordan. Once Peyton Manning, I'm a huge Peyton Manning fan. Yes. Once he retired, I felt kind of bad. I had grief from it. And I remember once Michael Jordan came back, he had grown men crying again. He's back. Oh my God, he's back. But these are athletes. These are people. Right. These are people I never met and I probably never will meet. But imagine if we can make a connection with that about athletes. Imagine the kind of grief that a child feels once he loses contact with his dad. You know what I'm saying? And now the problem is twofold because now we have grandparents raising a child. So now these children are feeling grief from the dad leaving and mom leaving. And these kids can see live in real time. They can log on to Facebook and see dad and mom living their best life. Going to the parties. Got the bottles with the wine bottle with the sparkles in it. I mean, living their best life. And they looking back like, oh my God, like they choosing that lifestyle over me. Like that's not fair to me, Yes. And that's grief. And that's sorrow.
Yes.
And the best way I can put it, in being a Christian, when Jesus Christ was nailed to the cross in his dying hour, he cried out, Father God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you abandoned me?
Yes.
This God, this Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Imagine a second grade child trying to process those same feelings that Jesus Christ had on the cross. Like, why my dad leave? Like, they can't handle that. You know, I
Yeah.
had a kid tell me, he said, Barksdale, it feels like he was high school. He said, Barksdale, imagine, he said, it feels like, I got cheated on. And I don't know about you, but I got cheated on, and that
Yeah.
hurts. That's
Yeah.
pretty. That's a painful emotion, So imagine a third grade child trying to process that level of emotional trauma by
Yes.
himself. That
Yes.
is that will lead to adverse. Well, that is an adverse child experience because
Absolutely, it is.
because they can't handle the emotion. It's too
Right.
much for them. And but they can walk through it, and they can get through their pain, but they got to open up about it, and the parents got to be willing to accept the fact that they may need issues. I'm sorry, they may need help in an area, and there's somebody to talk to.
I think that you just said something else that's critically important too is okay, are we in position? And earlier, you mentioned about the focusing on healthy relationships, talking about a
Mhm.
healthy relationship, are talking about generational differences. I don't know about you, but growing up, we were taught you don't question adults,
That's
right?
right. Mhm.
If the person says something, that is what it is. We're not talking about it, this and that. And so I also see that there is some compounded, as you mentioned, I'm feeling this way, but I also don't feel like I can go to whoever the people are that are there in the space with me to
Right.
have a conversation, to have some type of outlet about that. And listen, that leads us right into this second question. And you mentioned this, and this is so very true because we want to say this. In my work, I'm so fortunate. I do a lot of diversity, equity, inclusion training
Mm.
all over the United States, right?
Wow.
And so what's factual is a lot of people will think that because you are in a two-parent household, that they are also not dealing with neglect.
Not
That's
true.
not true either. You know what I'm saying? You never know what's going on behind closed doors. And
Correct.
so, and even in this society where we feel like we all got to live like the Kardashians or like the whatever you want, the Beyonce, like in this society where we feel like we have to have so much, it's requiring us to work more.
That's right.
So, even in some two-parent households, yeah, you got two parents. Yes, they love you dearly, but we trying to live in a $500,000 house and drive Benz and drive all of the things, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're being pulled.
That's right.
So with that, sometimes we don't talk about that, and we want to even look at that tonight. So listen, this leans right into this second question. What's your advice to single mothers raising sons? What's your advice? And I want all of our educators to hear this too, because listen, uh, in locus parentis, right? We know that means that you are the mother, you are the parent when the mother is not around. So all of these things are relevant to those of us in education as well. What's your advice to single mothers raising sons?
Well, let me kind of go back to what you said last about how the two parents, how a child can have two parents in the house but still feel abandoned, and that is so true. That's oh my God, because sometimes I do my own kids like that. I be so wrapped up in a building or in the job, I just kind of go in the zone. And everybody that's in my house, I don't even see them because I'm so
Yeah.
stuck on the goal. But there are several types of fathers or parents. I'm gonna say parents.
Mhm.
And I think everybody goal as a parent is to be the Disney parent. The Disney Channel dad, come home, your kid get a boo-boo, you run to him, you kiss on the knee, it's gonna be okay, baby.
Yeah.
That's everybody's goal to be that perfect ideal parent. If anything going wrong, the child don't gotta say anything. I just kind of sense it, there's something is
Right.
off. That's my goal, that's your job. And I'm pretty sure that's your goal too as a parent, just to be that perfect mother. But then there are other parents too, where there are dads absent because they are working all the time.
Yes.
They may be in the military. They may be a
Right.
truck driver. They may
Right.
be an what is it, an offshoreman where they got to be away
Right.
from
Right.
home
Right.
for 4 or 5 months.
Right.
Then there are, or they might be in jail.
Yes.
But then there's the other parent too, where the father is at home, but he's not connected to his children. He come off from work, he drop his bags by the door and go to the bedroom and close the door, and you don't see dad until the next morning getting up to leave for work again. And that child will also suffer from emotional abandonment as well.
Absolutely.
So because like he's not at home at all because he don't have any kind of relationship with his child.
Mhm.
So he's no better than somebody that off is not involved. Okay. But to answer your question, um, the advice to the single parents raising a son is listen to your child. You
Yeah.
know, um, and God being who He is, God will give you signs if something is going on with your child that you should be really, in tune with.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say if a child doesn't have or doesn't know his father, then there will be signs that he's gonna show. You maybe angry all the time, like I was. He may, he making trouble at school a lot. But just talk to him. I had a teacher come to me a while back and said, Barksdale, I followed you on Facebook, and I gotta say, I took your advice, and I got all my kids together. It was like seven. She had like seven kids, all by the same father, of course. And she said that before she saw my status on Facebook, she said that she would never allow them to say the father's name. She wouldn't let them even question them about their dad. But one day, she called them all in her bedroom. They sat on the bed. Said, "Y'all got 5 minutes. Ask me anything you want about your dad." And she said she started asking questions. Who was he? How y'all meet? Was he a good man? I mean, just asking question after question
Yeah.
after question. And she said, Barstow, I said 5 minutes, but it went on for 2 hours. And
Yeah.
guess what? I felt better after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just talking about it, it's healing.
Yes. Yes.
I think Nas said it best. I'm a huge Nas fan.
Mhm.
Nas said, "Words are medicine." And
Yes.
just talk about it.
Yes.
Um, Let me add this one thing for you. Get to your next question. Um, if you get an illness, diabetes, or high blood pressure, or cancer, once you start researching these things and you start going to websites, the first thing that the website is going to say is you are not alone. You are not alone. And same thing with going through this issue here with absent fathers.
Yeah.
You are not alone. There are people in the world that's going through this fight with you. But that's the devil, he want to convince everybody that they fighting this fight by themselves. But it's not true. You
Yeah.
know, you are not alone. And whatever you're going through, there's people that went through it that can help you through that process too. So talk about it. Just be open about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the first or the second, maybe the second episode of Boss Moves, y'all go back and watch that. We talked about grief.
Hmm.
And so many of the things that you're saying today are resonating with the counselor that we have, her words as well. It's sometimes you don't have the answer. Sometimes there is no answer, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes there is no answer, but talking about it again allows us, I tell people it's like the Coke bottle. Those feelings are that exact way. After you shake and shake and shake, like the buildup of the pressure,
Yeah, you're
sometimes
right.
you just need to let it out. You just need to get it out, right? So we get
Listen,
to make sure.
and it's crazy because you said that because I go around speaking, different cities and different states, and there hasn't been one time when I was doing my presentation on the impact of fatherlessness when the superintendents or deans of education they ran out the room because I touched on something that they hadn't yet healed from. You
Yes,
know, so
yes,
those father wounds and that those emotions are still bottled down in you somewhere. You
yes,
know, but I think as we become older, we learn how to mask that pain and hurt, but
right,
it's still there. I mean,
right,
these are doctors, so and so. They
right,
running out the room crying, boo-hooing because
right.
you know because something I said touched them on their father. So this is a really big issue, and it's hurting so many folks in this country. And I know for a fact that most of our problems come from our children not having a healthy relationship with their father.
Healthy relationship.
Keyword healthy, okay? That's the key word.
Healthy. I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely 100% correct. And me being fully transparent, I don't always, we always have a thick line between personal and professional, right? But just because
Yeah.
I want to help somebody, I want to help somebody. Kid you not, you are not alone. Tyler was flew out yesterday to see his dad, right?
Hmm.
There was another mom who had two babies getting on the plane as well to go see their dad, same
Hmm.
location. And so, when you let a baby fly unaccompanied, you have to wait until the plane is in the air before you can walk away. And so she and I kid you not, we sat there and we cried together for a few minutes. This was literally yesterday.
Right.
Because one of her babies was crying, getting on, and the other one was like, come on, we gotta go, and just sitting there talking through even how, you're trying to help create healthy relationships, and it's hard. it's not always easy. So going back to this question, what's your advice to single mothers raising sons? What's your advice to single mothers raising sons? And let me plug this shameless plug in here. Right. So y'all, this is one of Dr. Barksdale's books, Mom, Where's Daddy? And so my own personal child, because he's an avid reader, I gave it to him. I wanted his review, right? One of the things that he noted from the book, Dr. Barksdale, is that he absolutely loved that there were other people, there were some other men in the
There you go.
community who were intentional about speaking positive words to him, right? And I will share that he even started uh, connecting people in his own personal world to some of the characters. So I want to tell you guys, this is a fantastic resource. If you have your own child, if you're working in a school system, get the book, y'all. It's great.
Right.
And the pictures, I mean, the story it's fantastic. Talk to us.
Yeah.
What's your advice to
It's a
single?
it's a great book. First of all, it's a good book. I think my first children's book I wrote. And when I wrote it, I went to the library and I read a lot of Berenstein Bears books.
Yeah.
I tried to copy the format of the Berenstein Bears, kind of in my book. But so my advice would be, one, let the child talk, about his feelings. Let him open up. And for men, it's not right for men to open up. But trust me, man, men need to talk too. We can't have all our issues inside. We'll talk if we trust you. But and then once the child open up to you, don't throw it back in his face. That's the last thing you want to do.
Yes.
And two, get them some mentors. I put them in football, band, sports, PE, chess team, anything where you have somebody where you have a trusted male mentor. Again, somebody that's trustworthy. Okay, you don't want to have your son in anybody's space.
Right.
Make sure he's trustworthy.
That's right.
And just talk to him. Don't allow him to build a wall between him and you. Bust that wall down, because he'll try to put that wall up. Bust it down and just talk to him. Talk. Tell him about you. Your experiences and how you feel. And I promise you, the same input you'll give him, the same energy that you give him, he'll give it back to you. Especially if he can grow to trust you. I remember. I probably shouldn't say this because I love my mom, but I remember when I was a kid, I went and told my mom something that's kind of personal, and I heard her telling her sister about it on the phone. I said, "What?" So again, he told me this, girl. Like, hold on now, come on, Mom. But but she did that, and those are the kind of things that you want to avoid, because you want to make sure that you are a safe space for your child.
Safe space.
Yeah, but if you do share what he told you, make sure you do it in a cell phone, in the car by yourself, and he ain't listen to you.
Two things that you said that I want to repeat, and I want people to hear it when they go back and listen to this replay. Mm-hmm. Bust the walls down.
Bust it down.
I want to say that again. Bust the walls down. I mean, what I know to be true about my 20 years of experience working in middle schools is the easiest thing for a child to do is to put up a block.
That's right.
And it's human nature for us as the adults to, they don't want to be bothered. I don't want to, no, bust the walls down, because the longer we let those walls up, the stronger they become.
That's right.
The stronger they become, you better believe something or somebody is on the other side. And that's what's happening in our communities, if we can be honest about it. We having a real conversation. We have these walls up at home with our babies, and they're going to somewhere else where there are no walls, where they can say, can do, right? Because we aren't busting the walls down, y'all. I want to say it, bust the walls down.
Because I have two daughters, 13 and 8. They still hear me. My son's in college, but I have two daughters here, and my 13-year-old, she loves tech. She loves technology, and she asked for a cell phone. And we got her one, and I was scared because I know the comments on TikTok and YouTube, they can get inside your mind and turn you into a whole different person. And sometimes I kind of see her so zoned out on this cell phone where I take it from her for a day or a week, and that's my time, to reconnect with her, if I see her going too far off in that cell phone world.
Right.
But, cell phones, they can be good, but at the same time, being a school principal, I've seen them cell phones start fights. I've seen all kind of things with the cell phones. And also, I would encourage parents to, if your child is under 18 years old and you're paying a cell phone bill, hey, go get that cell phone and go through it as many times as you can to let them know that you're watching. There's no
Absolutely.
safe space in my house. I'm checking up under your bed. I'm checking through their cell phone. I'm checking everywhere to know that I'm doing this because I love you, and I want to make
Absolutely.
sure you're not making the wrong decision.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm old school in a lot of ways. My mom was very strict, very traditional, and I'm grateful to God that now back in the day I thought she was mean, and I tell her, all
Yeah,
the time, oh, I thought she was so mean and so strict, but I'm grateful that she provided me that type of structure. But too many times in 2024, kids get to close the door, lock the door, and
yeah,
it's my fault. Like, this is a real question for my parents. I'm talking to all of us. Do you know your child's passcode on the phone?
it's right. Good question. Yeah, it's right.
I mean, simple things like that. They're locking phones and you can't even get in it, but
Yeah,
you're paying the cell phone bill, right? And so even with Tyler, he had a cell phone. Listen, he knows the parent control apps, and it's something he don't know I got. So it's because he is being taught, and I think he is a young, respectful young man, but he's hit middle school age.
it's right.
And so we train, but we verify as well. Do you
It's
hear me?
right.
We check those things too. I want to say this. One of the things that stood out to me in your book was, for example, there were different people in the book that told the young man, they gave him affirmations
That's it.
in schools. And I can say this. His mom told him that he was important, but he really also needed to hear that from some other men in his world, right?
That's
Um,
right.
but she was saying, you're respected. That's why Reverend this person says this. This one says you are valued. That's why Reverend Johnson taught you how to control your attitude when you get
Right.
angry, right? And so speak to us about that. We are good. And again, I even have a girl empowerment event coming up this weekend. All right.
Mm.
We'll talk to women, we'll talk to girls a lot about affirmations. But talk to us about that. What does affirmations do for our young boys that we're trying to raise? And that's going to kind of lean on into our last question too. Which is, this is what can single moms do, but like, what can all of us do? Because we have some gaps with how we are currently serving our young males in our community. So what are some things we could do, and start with the affirmation piece for us? What does that
Oh,
mean to you?
good question. Well, I think that everybody should have a quote or Bible verse that they can always lean back on. Like if you're going through something hard, I think you should be able to go through some kind of Bible verse or some kind of quote that you heard or something that you read to remind you that you are a powerful person if you put God first. And
Absolutely.
it's God tell you. So one, that's really important. And I don't know what yours is or mine is. I can do anything and everything through Christ. And I know I can if I believe and I put God first, and it's in God's will, of course.
Yes.
But that's the most important thing for me. I can do this. I can achieve. I can be successful
Yes.
if I put God first in all my ventures in doing so. And so far, I can say that I have been successful, and I just want to thank God for that. But to get to your question three, how can schools better serve young people? Young males, I think we are failing on that end. Um,
Yeah.
I think we can do a better job. And one, I think we are too vested in these state tests. I think it's taking up a lot of our time and skill in these school districts. I know that reading is important, science is important, and math is important, but we can't let those three subjects, overshadow, the whole entirety
Whole
of the
time.
child.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm not trying to punish when I say this, and I don't want to be taken the wrong way, but I think our school counselors can do um, some can do a better job than what they're doing. A lot of school counselors they get the and if what I'm saying is if you are a counselor, good job. If you're doing what you should be doing with these children, good job. But I've seen some school counselors where they get the job just so they don't got to be in the classroom and work with the children one on one.
Yeah.
If you are a school counselor, you should work. You should be pulling behavior reports every day and identifying children that's being written up, and then making a behavioral plan with this child and putting these kids almost every other day to make sure they're following through on the behavior plan. But I've been in some schools where the counselors, they don't do that. They hide out all day, door closed in the office, and they don't be seen until the bell rings to go home. And that's not their job. Their job is to be engaged with the children that's showing behavior, just having behavior problems. So I know the school counselors, they can do some can do a better job. Also, the school got to do a better job at bringing in other outside people. If you know somebody in your community that's good in like karate, invite them in, to do karate with your students during gym time or during PE time, or start a karate club. If you know somebody in the community that's good with photography, invite them in. Let him teach let him start an after school club with your students. And teach them these skills: karate, wrestling, photography, whatever skill that these people in the community have and are proven to be trustworthy. Invite them in your school and let them help and volunteer through your school. And that's how we build bridges within our community. That's how we're going to grow as a society and as a culture if everybody play a part and volunteer within our school districts and schools.
And I can't say it enough. We're intricately tied. It's not just those bad kids over there.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? It's not just like in a community. If you live in any type of a community, you've got to know that the educational system is having an impact on your quality of life, be it good,
right.
Be it bad, right? And so education is a team sport. I say it all the time. Education is a team sport, so it takes everybody helping to do what they do. And I want to take this opportunity to shout out some of the best counselors I've ever worked with in my career. Let me say that because I have worked with some amazing folks.
Me too.
Jones, not Lisa Jones, Lisa Truss, Shalina Jones, Dr. Morris, Dr. Barnes. Like I have worked with some amazing counselors in my time. But you're right. Like listen, this is the part of the boss philosophy. Everybody's got to power up.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we are all in a particular position to do the work that we should be doing. And so don't take it for granted that you powering up changes a child's complete trajectory, right? And so
let me add this as well. And I hate that for some counselors, their focus have shifted from counseling children to focusing on state tests.
The role, by nature of the beast, the role has changed so much over the last couple of years, for sure.
Yeah, it really has.
Yeah. So talk to us about if somebody wanted to find you, you've been amazing. Do you have any other thoughts for the people as we get ready?
I got so much. I ain't ready to go yet. It's only 7:40. I ain't ready yet.
Listen, how can someone get this book? Where can they order this book or any of your books from?
Yeah, everything I have is on Amazon.
Okay.
So just go to Amazon, type in Dr. Clayton Barksdale, and every book, I think it's like 7 books on Amazon already. It should pop up. I have several more coming out this year and next year. But I really want to bring my stage play to your cities.
Yes, talk to us about your stage play. Talk to us about it.
Yeah. Okay, so my stage play, before you let me go, before you kick me out, it is.
I'm not kicking you out. I'm not kicking. Listen, I tell everybody, boss moves, and this is the way I move. Boss moves for a good time, an impactful time, not a long time.
I like that. Yeah. So my stage play is an adaptation of my book, Mom Where's Daddy, and the first scene is a grown man. He's walking into a counselor's office for counseling, and he's convinced. He don't need counseling. There's nothing wrong with him. But as the counselor began to talk to him, he began to realize through a series of flashbacks, when he was 8 years old, middle school and high school, that there were times that were really important to him that his father didn't show, and that made an impact on him with being a very mean and negative, nasty type person. So the final scene is him in the counselor's office realizing how much of his dad not being there turned him into a bitter person, and he needs to forgive his father in order to move forward. And trust me, there are so many men that I know personally, when they talk about their dad, they get so angry, and I see it now more because I'm trained to see it. They get so angry and so irritable, and they change. Then the whole mood changed for the entire day at the mere mention of their dad.
Yeah.
But I can tell if you are here from something, there is one sign to let me know that you're here from something. and it has no bearing on your emotions. Like, I can talk about my dad now, and I get mad because I'm healed from that. But if I wasn't here, I'd be angry and booting around. Oh, that man just sorry he this. But it's not mine because I'm here from that, and I thank God for taking the anger out of me. And I love my father. We talk now because we both grown. We both hear from it. I got here from my trauma, so we getting closer now. But that's the number one sign you can tell if someone has healed from something. If there's no emotional connection to it, they can just talk about their dad been out like Skittles or now later. There's no emotional connection attached to that particular thought.
Listen, you have been absolutely amazing. We're gonna have to get you back for a part 2 on this because
I'm
again,
ready.
it's a critical topic that we've got to even just open the door. If we can be honest, it's been taboo.
Yeah.
You know, for those divorced, single, it's taboo. We kind of steer clear from it, and our children and our communities are suffering because as the adults, like we aren't having the conversations around what's happening and allowing them to share from their
Right.
experience, the impact that it's having. But I want to say one more time to everybody that's listening as it relates to our children, bust the door down.
Bust it down.
Like
Bust it
you've
down.
got, they are worth fighting for. Let me
That's
say
right.
it again. Our babies, our children, and our communities, they are worth fighting for. So don't give up the fight. Keep working at it. And one of the other powerful things, Dr. Barksdale, that you said earlier, is about healthy relationships. And so we've got to ask ourselves, as the adults in this space, are we doing our due diligence to help build strong relationships so that we can reach our children in a way that they are ready to receive us? Listen, y'all know what to do. Make sure that you've liked this video, you've shared it. Make sure that you have also grabbed your copy of Boss Moves. If you have not, remember, it is taking the world of education by storm. So you make sure that you click on
Okay,
that
now.
that link below to grab your copy. And there are some people who have said, I want an autograph, I want a signed copy. So if you order, just make the note, please sign it for me, and we'll make sure that we get that signed. But you guys know it's been a great thing. Drop in the chat for me one time before you leave out of here. I am making Boss Move this week, and you guys know exactly what Boss Move is about. It's about you being bold. It's about you being optimistic. It's about you being spontaneous. And remember that it's always a great day to be substantial, right? We want to leave people, places, programs better than we found it. Y'all drop that in the chat for me. Go make it an amazing week. Have Boss Moves this week. And you guys just be great. Be you. Y'all be great. Thank you so very much. Tell the folks good night, Dr. Barksdale.
Thank y'all, and good night. Have a good night, y'all. Thank you. Enjoy your evening.